Um, Paul is one of my favorite channels to watch. He does Reporting Live from My Sofa is the name of his channel. And he also has a little dog. It's not Boo Radley. That one's Peter Mott's dog. I'm trying to remember the name of his dog. Well, I'm sure he'll talk about him anyway. But anyway, this is one of the stories I've been following, which is the crazy lady who was trying to kill her husband by poisoning him. And then I'm trying to understand. I think the thing that I still don't really understand, and I don't know if we've gotten the testimony back from the one survivor, why they were there, what her demeanor was. But, okay, so basically, this was a skilled forager of mushrooms. And she took deadly mushrooms and put it into a sauce in a beef Wellington, which, by the way, takes like 13 hours of preparation. This isn't some simple task, right? And they were supposed to be having some sort of conversation about a reconciliation with her ex-husband. But coincidentally, the children in this scenario were at a movie during the meal. And Dad backed out, probably because he just got the willies about it. He had previously gotten food poisoning in such a way that he ended up in a coma, I think, for like a month. So now you have 4 elders sitting down to a meal with this woman to apparently intervene and talk about potential reconciliation, or maybe you're not destined to be together, right? And she is serving them beef Wellington that includes a mushroom sauce with toxic mushrooms that are not just toxic, deadly. Like, you could just have a tiny taste of that mushroom and it can kill you. And you won't know for a few hours because it takes a while to like get through your system before it starts shutting down your organs. All right, let's see what Paul has to say about this.
Erin Patterson, aka Mushroom Massacre Lady, has put one of her houses up for sale, and we're going to do a virtual walkthrough and talk about it in today's video. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's back there with Mr. Roscoe, and my name is Paul. Like I said, today we're going to be doing a quick little...
I couldn't remember. I'm sorry, Paul. I couldn't remember that your dog's name is Roscoe. Because Peter's dog is Boo Radley. And I've been in an upstairs flat for 13 years, so I haven't had a dog in a long time. Okay. All right. Roscoe. And if you look at over his shoulder, he has a beautiful cartoon portrait of him with Roscoe. It's adorable, Paul. It's very good.
Update about the situation, if you will, down in Australia. And this is specifically about the mushroom luncheon nightmare from you-know-where. This involves Erin Patterson. She is the center of it. She has been recently arrested and charged with several counts against the victims of her alleged crimes. Now remember, she's not gone to court yet. She's not been found guilty. So again, this is all speculation, allegedly at this point. These are just my opinions, and that's that. Now the way we're going to review this video is we're going to be reading an article from Daily Mail Australia and looking at some photographs of the said house that is for sale. I'll make commentary at the end of...
Hey, you know what? If she's trying to offload some. Okay, so they're already divorced. So I imagine they've probably already split the assets and everything, right? So whatever she has, she has. Whatever he has, he has. I'm assuming that's where they are in their divorce proceedings at this point. Um, but it sounds like she's going to have to chip away at her estate to defend herself. I think it's a pretty hard sell to say, I didn't know what kind of mushrooms they were. I just bought them at an Asian market. I'm not a skilled forager. I don't know how to actually pick. They literally grow in her area. They literally grow in her area. And she threw away a device that does like freeze drying. And her husband knew about it and told the police. I don't think I don't think this is going to be a long trial. I think it's going to be pretty cut and dry that this chick tried to fucking kill all of these people. She killed 3 of them, and then there's also several other attempted murder charges, not only against the one survivor of that dinner party, but also against her ex-husband for the earlier times that he got so sick that he was like in a coma and shit.
The video about it. So, that being said, let's go ahead and get on in. Like I said, we're going to be reviewing this article. You can see the name of it is Accused Mushroom Lunch Chef Erin Patterson lists her $1 million holiday home up for sale. She was arrested on November 2nd. She's been charged with 3 counts of the Big M, and one of her properties has been listed for sale. This is by Tita Smith in Melbourne for Daily Mail Australia. It came out November 13th. So let's move on to the next page. It says Erin Patterson, the woman accused of the 3 Big M's at a mushroom lunch, has listed one of her properties for sale. Patterson, 49, was charged with 3 counts of the Big M after her former parents-in-law, Don and Gail Patterson, both 70, and Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, 66, died after eating a beef Wellington pie at a family meal on July 29th. As it goes on to say that the mother of 2, meaning Erin, has also been charged with 5 counts of attempted Big M, which relate to the...
It's not really a pie. It looks more like a meatloaf. If you ever were like into Hell's Kitchen, that was like one of his normal standard recipes that he had the contestants cook. So they probably did a lot of their prep work before the show started, because it is a 13-hour recipe, right? So usually when I was watching Hell's Kitchen and they were doing their beef Wellington, they would just pull out something that looked like it was already like breaded. It was already, you're pretty much just heating it up and you're putting it like in this oven. You heat it up and you slice it. And hopefully the meat is at the right temp, I guess. I mean, I've never done it myself before, but it is apparently a very long recipe. And it looks a bit more like a meatloaf than a fucking pie. It doesn't look like a pie, you guys.
Sole survivor of the lunch. Heather's husband Ian, 68, and 4 alleged attempts to take out her ex-husband Simon Patterson. Now let's go on in here and see what it says about the actual property. So it says that they understand the property was Patterson's holiday house and has remained largely unoccupied except for like family vacations. It was purchased for $931,000 in 2019. So that's a lot of money. It says it's a 3-bedroom home, 3 bathrooms, and a double garage. It's listed for auction November 18th with a price guide between $960,000 and $1,050,000. But it goes on to say that there seems to be like a good bidder who's placed a promising offer as of last Monday, so they're not really sure how far we'll even make it. Now this part I find interesting. It says prospective buyers have been told the house is up for sale due to rising interest rates.
Huh.
Drinketh from the cup at the olive. Let's keep going. Records show Patterson, who has personal ties to Mount Waverly, became the sole proprietor of the property back in February 2021, about the time she separated from her husband. Do we see the word motive popping up around here for those alleged attempts on his life? Let's continue. It says, according to the real estate advertisement, the wonderfully positioned property is equally suited to those starting out or downsizing as is for families and investors. Quietly tucked at the rear of only two.
Downsizing? Or starting up? Are you for fucking real? You think that starter families can afford a near $1 million house? I mean, most of my I'm Gen X, you guys. Most of my generation had to start with condos. My condo's worth $750. I've had to live in it for 13 years to get it up here. Holy shit with this.
The residence takes great care in providing a comfortable lifestyle with a lounge room enriched with large windows, while the dining zone is accompanied by a well-equipped kitchen complete with a Bosch dishwasher. The description reads, fancy. Creating an invitation for summer BBQs, barbecues, sliding doors open from the dining zone out onto the alfresco deck, while the rear of the home presents children and pets with space to play or set up a trampoline. Extra benefits include a laundry, ducted heating, split system air conditioning, understair storage, high ceilings plus a remote control double garage with backyard roller door. Now the rest of the article kind of goes in to sum up what has taken place. And again, it just talks about her being arrested on November 2nd. The sniffer dogs came out, they went through her home. She was taken to the Wonthaggi police station. She was charged, spent the night in a cell. Then they requested that
Wait, I got questions here. Is this part of the article or is it part of the actual advertisement for this property? Because I think that would kibosh the entire fucking sale, right?
prosecutors requested a 20-week delay before her next appearance, so computer equipment seized from her home could be analyzed. That's going to be interesting. She's made no attempt to bail, but her lawyer is expected to make an application in coming weeks. She's going to stay behind bars at the Dame Phyllis Frost Center, a notorious women's prison, and she's supposed to be in court via webcam or video link on May 3rd, 2024. Now, let's take a minute and look at the photos of the house. Now, as we see here, it has the home listed. Now, a couple of things that are of interest of this. First of all, number one, I'm from the United States. That's where we're broadcasting from. That's where the sofa is. So just seeing how things are a little bit different. So, and they might do this in other parts of the United States. I could be wrong or whatever, but to me, I've never seen this. But if you look at the picture and you see how in front of the house, it has that like little sign that shows all the pictures of the inside of the house. What a wonderful idea. You know what I mean? Like for these things like this that are for sale, so you can see that. Like I would think this would help get.
Yeah, I'm with you, Paul. I've never seen that before. Like usually why you probably are not going to see that in a lot of places is because we have municipal codes about the size of the signs that you're allowed to put in front of buildings. And so, for example, if I was to sell my condo right now, it would basically, the only thing they could put up there is like basically a sign the size of like a yard sign that you would use to like advertise a city council candidate or something like that. They have restrictions around how big this shit can be.
Rid of people who just want to see a house, you know what I mean? Like in the real estate world, like they're not serious. They just want to see what it looks like. Walk or buy type people. Okay, secondly, this house is almost $1 million. Now, this picture right here, I'm like $1 million. I ain't seeing it, okay? But that's just me. Okay, that's just me. I ain't no expert. Let's go on to the next picture. Here's the roller door that they were talking about in like the backyard kind of area. Again, kind of plain Jane, nothing real fancy to be honest. But that doesn't mean anything. This could be just a real, major popular area where things are high and whatnot. No, moving on.
It's brick, so they must not get earthquakes in that area. But yeah, that kind of looks like it's super tied up with the other neighbors. So there must be something very special about the location. To, like, for instance, I live 8 miles from Laguna Beach, right? That's why my property is worth maybe more than what a similar property would be in, like, say, Corona. because of my location. It takes me like 15 minutes to get down to Laguna Beach.
To the inside, here's the living room. Again, just kind of a generic, nice looking living room, nothing fancy. And then we'll move on to the bedroom. Again, I do love the hardwood floors. I will say that. I think they're beautiful. Now, I saved this for last, this picture. Now, remember, this is not the house where the crimes were committed, okay? This is basically a vacation property. It has stayed empty for the most part, as the article said. However, I cannot help but envision when I see the dining room associated with her. I am seeing her move around that kitchen, her guests sitting at the table, her knowing what...
That's not a dining room, that's a kitchen nook. Does this property not come with an actual dining room? That's a kitchen nook. Come on, Pa.
Going on if it turns out that's what happened. Remember, she is not proven guilty yet. It's just creepy to see, okay? It would be even worse if this was her home where the crimes were allegedly committed at. Okay, so that's that. Let's talk about it for a second. First of all, when I was like drinking from the cup, when they were like, oh no, it's for rising interest rates and whatnot, I was like, girl, please. And no, okay, I can't roll my eyes hard enough at it because, and I get it, they're not going to say, oh, she's thinking she's going to be behind bars the rest of her life and she needs to pay an attorney. Obviously, right? I mean, we're not expecting them to say that, but to me, that's what it is. This is someone who was like kind of...
Well, she's also thinking, well, I'm not going to be able to use this rental property anymore, and I obviously don't care about my kids that much to actually will it away to them, right? Because people are selfish. And they act for themselves first, especially murderous people, right? So if she's not going to be using the property anymore, why would she let her kids have it, right?
Knowing something was coming down the pipeline and catching wind of it and preparing. If this was a home that was sitting there vacant, not doing anything, and you're going through all of this drama and trauma with, alleged, crimes that you've committed and whatnot, you're going to start unloading stuff, right? So... that's my take. I don't know why she's selling it, and it could be just that, I could be wrong. The husband could have something, whatever, but that's my little 2-cent take on it. Now, also, when it said the thing about, she primarily took it over or whatever when her and her husband got separated, remember...
You know what she should have done was, like, if she needs, like, a constant, steady source of income, she should have worked with a real estate agent and rented it out. Because if that property is worth $1 million, she could have probably gotten at least $3,000 a month in rent.
She has all these, attempted charges on for his life. Remember, he spoke of like, oh yeah, well, we went to here and I got really sick and whatnot. And this is how this all started to come together. Where from the outside in, we're looking at it like, this isn't right. And so to hear those charges finally come up, but then also to hear of this property and this intermingling. One thing with this situation that I could not put my finger on completely was, and not that it really matters, but again, it just kind of gives more context, was the financial situation. I knew they were comfortable. You can tell by looking at her house where the luncheon took place. It's a larger home. Then reading a little bit more into it, where it's like, oh, I just bought this. We're going to build this dream home, and all this stuff, right? Her parents, the house that she got from them, that her and her brother, whoever it was, sold for quite a bit of money, or they bought each other, however that worked. So what I'm getting at is, I'm like, okay, there's a level of comfort. Well, then this being this vacation home, it's almost like $1 million. I'm like, okay, there's like money, which also equals motivation. Now, here's my thing, and again, this is all speculation on my part. This is not factual. This is none of that stuff. This is just me from the sofa talking, okay? So, basing my opinion on just public information, right? So, here's my thing. I personally think that she was not trying to take everybody out of that luncheon. I think she was trying to be the savior, almost like, I don't know what you call them, but like nurses who, like dark angels or whatever they're called, where they kill their patients, but they also kind of keep them sick to save them type situation. I just got this vibe off of that, or whether it's Munchausen.
I disagree with you, Paul, because if she was a skilled forager, then she knew the consequences of putting such a toxic mushroom in their meal and what would happen if they, especially these were elderly people, Paul. I mean, I think that's a real stretch to go into this. She's the dark savior. What do you mean, why? Like, what's the motivation there? No, she literally was dealing with a group of people who did not want her to get back with her husband because she had already food poisoned him, right? And apparently it was a toxic marriage. There it could have been money motivated. Wasn't there somebody, or I don't know, I might be mixing my true crime stories together here, but she knew what she was doing, and she can't excuse that because she knew what the mushrooms looked like. There's no way she got around it. And let me also go this far and say, while she was preparing that meal, she had to handle those toxic mushrooms, which meant that she was highly aware while she was chopping, mixing it into this sauce, stirring up the sauce. She was highly aware of not touching her eyes, her mouth, probably washing her hands repeatedly, making sure that everything that she was using as cooking utensils was highly cleansed immediately. She knew what she was doing, Pa. You don't accidentally put a highly toxic mushroom into a sauce that you could die from simply by preparing the mushroom, right? Just by handling it. She knew what she was doing, Paul.
By proxy, whatever that is, that kind of energy, and maybe something went out of control and she ended up taking their lives. So much will depend on what Ian says. Remember, he survived, right? So he's going to have information and was helping them, and that's what led to her arrest. That did not do her well that somebody survived this. So
I think it's entirely possible she cooked 2 of them. And like I said, I think that she was very careful in her preparation, because she knew what she was working with. She knew how highly toxic it was. And so she had to wash her hands constantly, clean the utensils constantly. She probably made the untoxic version first so that everything was clean, right? Like it wasn't going to be polluted with this toxic mushroom. I imagine there was probably 2 beef Wellingtons, and I don't know which one of those beef Wellingtons she turned over to the police. And until the one survivor is able to give an interview, we're not going to know how she served this out. Other than she probably put a certain portion on the table for them to dish out. That was all the toxic shit. In my opinion, she probably carried her own plate in from the kitchen. That's my guess. I don't know what happened or how it happened, but we need the one sole survivor to tell us what exactly happens there. But she would have had to have been constantly washing her hands and washing every utensil she used while she was preparing that meal. This is no mistake. There's no fucking around on this one, because she would have died too. She didn't make a mistake.
I don't know if she was attempting to make them sick and then come back and be like, oh, I'm the savior, I'm going to care for everyone and integrate myself in. Or if she was truly wanting to take them out as like a form of financial motivation. I don't know. Remember, there's also the custody thing with her children that she's...
I don't even know if it was like financial motivation, Paul. I think that it honestly... had more to do with the fact of just like a sense of, this is how I want my life to be. I want this man in my life. He's the father of my children. And you guys are barriers to that. So I'm going to get rid of you. And if I can't have him, nobody should have him. So if he shows up and eats this, good riddance, because then I get custody of my kids. Right? That's what I think the motivation was more about power than it was about money, because it seems like she was wealthy enough that money wasn't really a motivator anymore. At least from what I'm seeing of this case.
It's a little bit like over with the ex, the ex, the estranged husband. So there's all these dynamics at play, because I guess for me, a big thing with this is the motivation. Like, why? Why would you do something like this to a group of people? Okay, your former in-laws. It was already weird enough when they were like, oh, she was having them over to discuss basically how this relationship was going to go or whatever. It's like, okay. But remember, the estranged husband was supposed to be there and he backed out last minute. There's so many dynamics like that, because again, I just come back to, why would you do this? What would be the motivation? What would be the reasoning? But again, oftentimes with these crimes like this, there is none, right? We as humans, and especially, I'm going to speak for myself here, I guess. I need to categorize, I need to group things, I need to assign it a meaning, like, okay, this is why this happened. Here's whether it's makes sense or not, right? You know what I mean? Like, of course, murder doesn't make sense, it never does, but at least if I can understand it a little bit, and this is just one of those where I'm like, well, what? It would make more sense to me that she was trying to make them sick and come in and be the savior and take care of everybody, as opposed to this calculated plan to wipe out an entire family at lunch. What do you do with that? I don't know. But again, will we ever?
Well, she apparently got away with food poisoning on the husband in the former year, and so she thought she could constantly do this, right? Like obviously she did not have rational thinking. She was there were obviously some sort of mental issues going on with her, where she thought she could actually like get away with murder, like quite literally, right? So I just don't think this is a Munchausen by proxy situation, because I don't think that she would have wanted to take care of all 4 of those people.
That's it. We'll have to see if she starts unloading other stuff and where all that goes. So May is her next court date. We're going to see how that plays out. Again, it's going to be kind of a little bit of dicey information along the way, just simply because this is, down under, right? It's a different country, different laws, different ways they handle crimes and whatnot. And again, my heart goes out to her children, number one. Can you imagine? Number two, the surviving, people, her estranged husband, Simon, and Ian, especially. Ian woke up out of the hospital, family, wife wiped out, gone. And this is what he's come to. Like, this is his life now. This court battle and all this stuff. It's absolutely horrible and heinous. So, anyways, why do you think that she's selling the home? I want to know. So, anyways, that's it. Sorry, it's a short video, but I just want to come.
I think if anything, she's selling the home because she's the kind of person who needs instant gratification, and that if she was smart about this situation, she would rent the home out instead as a constant source of income while she's fighting these legal battles. But you know what? You can lead a horse to water. You can lead a horse to toxic mushrooms. I don't know what to tell you, except this woman is trying to murder people. So I think I can safely say that she's fucking insane. Right? That's the update on the mushroom lady. There you go.